sitting down to update my journal. And I just remembered that I had this photo of I guess it's called the register signing. I'm not really sure what the whole process is called. On mine and my husband's wedding day. It was a very quick wedding. I will discuss the wedding and how we met and all this sort of stuff at a later date, but yeah, I think it's really cute. So we'll be celebrating 3 years of marriage come February, so just a few days after Valentine's Day, which is nice. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be in a few months. So I'm kind of getting things together because our anniversary and then my husband's birthday are kind of close to one another. So I like to try and focus on that sort of like month. Plus Christmas is like a couple months before. So I'm trying to focus on Christmas. So basically from now, for the next 6 months, I'm gonna be busy trying to get gifts and stuff together so I can like hide them in the apartment, because my husband is someone who, as much as I love him, when it comes to getting him gifts and stuff, he's not someone that's easy to buy for. He doesn't like gifts. He doesn't like people getting things for him because he's quite happy. He says that he's quite content with everything that he has in life, so he doesn't really need like extra stuff or extra trash or just that stuff. And I'm also the same to a degree. So it's never easy to buy for my husband. However, there are 2 things I have learned about him. One, it's don't tell him that you've got him any gifts, because he will hunt it down and he'll want to open it right now. So he does actually like getting them if you do get him gifts. And the other sort of like pointer that I've learned about him is that if I ask him, oh, would you like one of X, Y, and Z for your birthday? Or would you like X, Y, and Z for Christmas? He's like, oh no, I don't need it. I'm good. Like everything's fine. I've made it this far without it. Or the last one broke and I've gone X amount of years without it. I'm good. It's totally cool. But if I go out and get it for him anyway, he's the most appreciative person. He'll be like, oh my God, I needed one of these. This is amazing, blah, blah, blah. So I've learned how to sort of like circumvent how and what kind of gifts I get him throughout the year. Just like on a whim. Like if I'm out and about and I see something, I'm like, I know he'll need this. I know he'll enjoy this. He'll use it. So he's difficult to buy for, but I know that he's a very appreciative person, and I think that's a really nice trait to have. I wish I had that trait to a degree, but I don't. With me, it's different because when I was growing up, my birthday was at the end of the academic year, so in August. And that usually meant in the UK, when you closed up for school at the end of July, you weren't back at school until like a few days into September. So that was roughly about 6 weeks or 5.5 weeks of summer holiday that you would get. And of course, during the summer holidays, most people did not want to stay in the UK. They would go on holiday for a week or 2 or for a month, or they'd go away for most of the summer. So people weren't ever available for my birthday in August, which is why I have a weird love-hate relationship with my birthday. So when I do get gifts for myself, it's for myself. I get things that I know that I want because I don't have an expectation that anyone's going to remember that it's my birthday. Now, with the addition of having a husband, it's different because he'll go out and he'll get me things, and he's really spent a lot of time thinking about the things that I want. So the gifts that he does get me are usually items that I really need, or items that I knew I'd want to get at some point in the future for myself anyway, but he's beaten me to it. We kind of complement each other in that way, so it's really nice. But that being said, with books, I've just finished my last journal, which is this one. It's just a Leuchtturm 1917 lined journal. I don't remember the size of it. It's a fairly small journal, not that thick. There are 127 pages. I don't quite remember. 124 pages, plus the contents page and stuff at the front, which is nice. So I was just wrapping up like a review of the book that I've just finished and then started briefly mentioning the book that I'm just now reading. And then, of course, toward the end of the journal entry, which is pages and pages and pages long, I then started sticking in images of the authors that I like. So Haruki Murakami. I seem to be really obsessed with him this year. I've read quite a few books by him this year. J.R.R. Tolkien, obviously, he's a legend because Lord of the Rings. And yes, I'm a big fan of Rings of Power, so don't at me. And Jonathan Franzen, which is this dude right here. So Jonathan Franzen is awesome. I love his works. I have quite a few of his works. I do really love his writing. And this book that I just reviewed in my journal, I freaking love it. So I am dying for the sequel, and I'm dying for the third book because I need to see how this entire story plays out. And just a quickie before I go back to that particular book, a little post here about the Queen passing away, which is kind of sad. There's like a sort of like a somber feeling, I guess, with a lot of people. Some people don't really care. Others are really sad about it. I'm really sad about it. Yes, I understand the history and everything. I literally come from one of the colonies and now I'm living in another colony. So believe me, I get it. But anyway, wrapping back. I have a new journal, which is this one. It's kind of plain. Howling Fountains on the cover there, refers to a phrase in a book called Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace, which I absolutely love. You will see that in a moment if you haven't already. But yeah, this is the book that I've just finished. I finished it like 2 weeks ago and I freaking love it. This book is called Crossroads. It is centered on the Hildebrandt family and all of the shenanigans that each member of that family is going through, or what all the shenanigans that's happening to them and things that they've experienced in the past and up till modern day being the 70s in this particular book. From what I understand, this is the first book in a trilogy that's supposed to be coming out called A Key to All Mythologies. And if you know Jonathan Franzen, he's famous for The Corrections and another book called Freedom, which were highly, highly, highly acclaimed, highly, highly touted. Two books that I would highly recommend to people who want to get into the world of Jonathan Franzen's mind as far as literature is concerned. I would definitely say start with one of those two books. Of all of the Jonathan Franzen novels that I've read, which is all of them, all of the novels he's brought out, I've read all of them apart from one. I think this is my favorite. For the longest time, Freedom was my absolute favorite book. And then it was like Freedom, Purity, 27th City, and so on. But since reading this, holy crap. I read this in like literally a few days. I was hooked. It got to the point where when I actually finished reading this particular book, I was thinking about it pretty much every day, several times a day. And I ended up recommending it to a couple of friends. I was like, you need to go out and get this book, because I desperately want them to read the book and then turn around to me and be like, wow, who is Jonathan Franzen? And I'll be like, let me tell you. So I really love this book. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I'm not going to go into too many details about this book at the moment because I figured I would probably try to do a book review on my author channel. So I don't know. Oh, there's like a bunch of like work going on literally in the room behind this wall. Did I tell you this apartment is not really supposed to be an apartment? Keep it secret, keep it safe. Anyway, so this is Crossroads by Jonathan Franzen, the first book in a trilogy. I have no idea when the second book is coming out, so I'm hoping that it comes out soon. Otherwise, if he pulls like a Jeffrey Eugenides, which is like writing the entire manuscript and then just absconding to a different part of the world so your editor doesn't find you, I'm gonna get mad. Like, Jonathan Franzen doesn't seem to understand. There are a lot of people out there who do really genuinely love his books, and we do like him as a person, even though he's, you know, a little difficult, apparently. I don't know. I think he'd be cool. After reading Crossroads, I needed something to cleanse my palate. You know when you read a really, really good book, and then when you try to start reading another book, it just ain't the same. It's a struggle. I started doing that with the next book, another book, which was To Paradise by Hanya Yanagihara. And I just couldn't get into it. So I needed something to cleanse my palate. So I went back to Murakami. That time I picked up the book Colorless, Tsukuru, Tazaki, and His Years of Pilgrimage. And let me tell you, not only did that book cleanse my palate, it sucked me in. And I managed to finish that book in about 3 or 4 days because I was just sort of like reading it in increments and I wasn't really well at the time. I read that book equally as quickly as I read Crossroads. And I was so impressed and felt so crap when the book finished really quickly that I immediately had to start reading another Murakami book. So I immediately then started the book Killing Commendatore, which is this one. And so far, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this book because unlike a lot of the other Murakami novels that I'd read, I haven't done any background knowledge, like research or anything on this title, so I didn't know what to expect at all. I just started reading and I slowly started gathering pieces of what this story is about. So far, I'm not quite halfway through yet. I'm almost halfway, but so far, it's a very dense book. Dense in the same sense as there's a lot happening, but at the same time there's not a lot happening, but there is a lot of happening and there's a lot of words. It's very much like Wind Up Bird Chronicle, which I absolutely love. I don't know, at this point I feel like this book, even though it has swept me off my feet, and it's exactly what I need after being on such a reading high with the last 2 books. This is definitely a book that's kind of forcing me to slow down. Forcing me to slow down in the same way that I had to slow down when I was reading 1Q84. This is definitely a book that I'd want to take my time with a second time around. So at the moment, I'm merely reading it in order to understand the entire story, to understand all of the characters, to understand exactly what's happening, and then I'm going to read it again. And then the second time, I'm sure I'm going to be pulling out more quotes that I really like. I don't know. I still haven't made up my mind about this book so far. The main character, we don't really know what his name is, but he's an artist. Toward the beginning of the book, his wife, which I realize now is kind of a theme with Murakami, his wife is like, okay, cool, I'm checking out. And he's like, okay. So she just absconds. And then it's just about him existing for the sake of existing, like so many of Murakami's main characters. And then he's just questioning life and questioning everything and questioning why his wife left. Now, I've started to notice this a lot more because I thought that was just a funny thing that I picked up when I was reading Colorless, Tsukuru, Tazaki. I was like, here is a guy who's questioning why his friends dumped him with no explanation, no reason. And now, years later, he realizes, I need closure. I'm just existing for the sake of existing. I need closure. So that's what I really like about Murakami's works. There's a lot of introspection, and I love the self-analysis that a lot of these characters put themselves through. But there's just this theme of people just abandoning you. And I think that's the reason why I really love Murakami, is that if there are characters, like the main characters are abandoned for any reason at all, I resonate with it because it's like, damn, I'm never going to get closure for half the friendships that I had over the years, because at some point or another, people tend to just abandon me. I think that's probably why I love his book so much, because like the characters, while they sit and just kind of introspectively question why people would neglect or abandon them, I'm over here like, yeah, oh my God, it's the same with me. What? I mean, I don't think I'd ever get to a point where my husband's going to turn around to me and just be like, all right, cool, I'm checking out. I'll send you the divorce papers in the mail. Bye. Like a couple of other characters from other stories, but like, at least not yet, touch wood. but it's just really interesting, and I that's why I like the idea of taking my time with this one the way that I did with 1Q84 and Wind Up Bird. So I don't know, I haven't made up my mind about this book as of yet. I want to see how it eventually ends and what it culminates to, but so far I'm really liking it. I'm liking it. I'm not loving it yet. I'm liking it at the moment. I'm taking my sweet time. I don't know. At some point, again, maybe, I don't know, I'll probably do a review for the chat. I don't know. I don't know, watch this space. I'll see. Right now, I just need to sit and journal. I have a brand new journal, which is this one. And then I've already decorated it with stuff like Ontario, maple leaves, companies that I sell their merch, Queen Books, Brick Literary Journal stickers, and obviously Camp Crystal Lake. If you're into horror, you know what that is. I love my horror. It's a thing about me that I keep secret. Well, it's not really much of a secret if you follow me on social media. It's not a secret. But yeah, just sort of like decorating and stuff, just being silly. And I'm about to start writing a massive update about my pain and stuff and how I'm dealing with that. And then as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to go back to bed because I took some medication a little while ago and I feel the effects kicking in now. I'm starting to get a little bit sleepy. So I'm going to go and have a nap as soon as I'm done with this stoicism entry in my journal. But yeah, I've been busy. I've been productive, even though I haven't been myself 100%. I still feel a little bit of pain every day, but it's manageable. But I'm doing everything I can to try and stay as productive as I can and to keep moving and to keep doing stuff rather than just being in bed all the time. Because I feel like if I stay in bed all the time and just sit on the chair all the time and not really do very much, that's usually when my anxiety will kind of like start to relax itself to the point where my depression then wants to come in and take over, and I don't want that to happen. So I don't know, I'm gonna see how far I can get with this particular entry, and then I will climb into bed, and if I'm up for it, I will read another chapter or two from here, because I am reading this actually pretty quickly. I'm almost halfway and I've only been reading it for the past week and a bit. So I don't know, I will see how far I get with that if possible today, or at least before my nap. But I will definitely be reading it later on. So I guess that's all for this segment. I'm really sorry for just talking so much just then, but whatever. This is what happens when you're lonely, you don't have friends. Anyway, ciao for now, and have a good day. Just finished my journal entry, which is cool, and then I just made this from like one of my KikiK planner sticker paper pack things, and this was like one of the little kind of like fun things that you could make from it. So I just thought I'd make this. I'm gonna leave it on my husband's desk because he'll be on his way home soon, so I think it's kind of cool. Just, you know, it's like a giant, what is this, a D8 dice. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it on his desk as like a little surprise. So yeah, just thought I'd show you. Now I'm going to bed because I feel like I'm definitely gonna pass out, so I will not be reading. So change of plans. I also hung up one of my pieces that I did a while ago, like a watercolor thing. I was sort of practicing it a little bit. It doesn't look too bad, does it? That's passable. I'm just really proud, so I've left it up there. My husband obviously isn't home yet, so I want that to be a nice surprise for him too. hair. My hair needs to be done. Looks weird. I like having like a weird fringe, but it just looks weird. I've had this for about just over a week because it just makes things easier because I've got such thick hair, so it's easier to portion. So I can do the front as like a whole separate thing, and then the back is a lot easier. And then with these little pigtail things, I just split those and then twisted them. It just makes everything kind of sit flat, which is much nicer. But anywho, I'm gonna have breakfast now. Wow. Oh, never make me do that sound ever again. What was the sound I was trying to do the other day? Where did I get that from? I don't even know. I can't remember. Somebody did it and it was like cringe, like all the hairs just showed up on my back. I tell you, man, getting married is like the best thing because then you just have a boyfriend 24/7 or a partner 24/7. It's great, let me tell you. I'm getting a bit more hands-on with my MacBook. So for those of you who don't know, I recently got a MacBook like 2 months ago. I'm not going to go through the whole story of how this happened. But I haven't touched a MacBook since 2007. And that was back when I was at film school studying films, like film and TV production. So obviously we had to use Macs to edit film on Final Cut Pro. And we also used them to use Celtex at the time in order to do script writing, which is what my ultimate love ended up being. I love script writing. So I don't know, I just love writing scripts. So yeah, it's been over 10 years. I'm not very good at math. And I now have a new MacBook, which is kind of insane to me because at the moment, because I've had iPads for so long, I've had iPads and iPhones and other devices within the Apple sphere. At the moment, a MacBook is basically just a much better iPad. So I'm still coming to sort of understand how it works. And like, it did take me like 3 days to figure out how to use the mouse. And this was before I even Googled it. But I didn't have to Google how to use the mouse. I just watched my husband because he's had Macs for years and years and years. And I guess it's mostly just comes down to the fact that in the UK, they don't really change. There's not really like an exchange rate difference when it comes to Apple products in the UK. So wherever the price is in dollars, it's roughly the same in UK pricing. So in the UK, you're still paying like a third more, up to half or even double for like the same item that you can get for a lot cheaper in the US and Canada. I've just used Windows my entire life. And I still kind of want a new Windows laptop. And most recently, I just celebrated what's known as like the Kemetic New Year, or like the Egyptian pagan New Year, where you celebrate over the course of 5 days the birthdays of 5 of the like the younger generation of gods. So Osiris, Osiris, Set, Horus the Elder, and then their 2 sisters, Nebuchadnezzar and Isis. They each get a day. So I've just celebrated their birthdays over the last few days. So I just want to try and pull all my research together, come up with a decent enough script so that I can sit and explain what the epigomenal days are. So I want to try and focus on that today, as long as I have a fully working script that I can sort of read off as I do this video. Hopefully I'll be able to then edit that video a little bit sooner and get that up and on my alternative channel, which is my main channel. I will link it down below to give you more of an idea of what it is that I'm rambling about. And so I'm just going to get on with that sort of stuff right now. But yeah, like a lot has happened the last time I uploaded a vlog. So as far as like my health is concerned, I am back at work. At the moment, I'm doing what's known as like half days or just closing shifts for the time being, because I find that in the mornings I'm very stiff. And I still continue doing a little bit more research about arthritis and like fibromyalgia and all that sort of stuff. So it's all kind of starting to make sense now, but I'm dealing with it a lot better. I'm not as upset as I was. I'm not as panicky as I was. I'm feeling a lot better about it, which is why I'm still kind of hopeful that it's just a temporary thing and it's only going to last a few months and then everything should be fine by the new year. But I don't know, I guess I'll just have to see. I guess just watch this space for any more updates.